So I want you to imagine, just for a second, being an entity of pure, unadulterated energy. You're massive, you're brilliant, and you are entirely self-sufficient. The text opens with this: "My name is Jupiter. I radiate light with intensity." Now that is not just a simple introduction, right? It's a profound, almost boastful declaration of cosmic scale. Today, we're literally stepping into the mind of a celestial giant to experience the universe from a perspective that's, well, billions of years old. What does it actually mean to be a celestial body just floating out there in the void? How does a planet even conceptualize its own existence? These are the massive, really philosophical questions we're going to tackle right out of the gate.
Welcome to today's Explainer, Deconstructing Jupiter's Transformation, a sci-fi poetic explainer. We're going to unpack this brilliant story about space, the sudden intrusion of technology, and ultimately what it means to actually feel something for the very first time. You know, sci-fi poetry is such a unique genre because it uses the vast, freezing emptiness of the macro-universe to highlight the warm, super messy vulnerability of human, or in this case, micro-human experiences. We're diving deep into the core conflict of this text, the clash between ancient, unchanging nature and a sudden, highly advanced technological arrival.
And that brings us directly to the emotional core of our analysis. The text says, "It's complicated and I don't understand." Keep that phrase right in the back of your mind as we go through this, because what we're really exploring today is the ultimate paradox. We have this massive being that completely understands the gravity and the literal mechanics of the cosmos, but is totally baffled by a simple feeling. What exactly happens when an ancient, eternal entity of pure light suddenly collides head-on with the bewildering, unpredictable reality of alien emotion? Seriously, how does a planet process a feeling? Let's find out.
Part 1. The Cosmic Observer, an eternal, static existence.
Okay, so before everything completely flips upside down, we really have to understand Jupiter's baseline. My life is amazing, my love is eternity. I mean, there is sheer confidence and completion in that statement. The author establishes this initial state of being as vast, majestic, and undeniably beautiful. But let's look a little closer at the philosophical implication here. When your love is simply eternity, you are kind of static. You're isolated in the infinite vacuum of space, observing the cosmos, but never really interacting with it. There's no friction, no change, no growth whatsoever. It's a flawless existence for sure, but it's also a profoundly lonely one. When you're eternal, absolutely nothing surprises you. You're basically just waiting for time to pass.
Moving on to Part 2, a technological arrival, the inciting incident.
Then, out of nowhere, bam! After eons of absolute, eternal silence, the author shifts the pacing dramatically. Suddenly, there's this flurry of frantic mechanical activity. In just 5 seconds, everything changes. Second 1, a beautiful invention flying in space. Second 2, receiving radio waves. 3, searching Earth. 4, traveling at hyperspeed. And second 5, an alien emerges. The vocal pacing of the text perfectly mimics the rapid approach of the ship. Billions of years of undisturbed stillness have been aggressively breached by the relentless, frantic drive of exploration. It's literally a technological revolution hurtling through the dark, directly at a giant who hasn't had a visitor since the dawn of time.
Which brings us to Part 3, the paradox of connection. Machine meets emotion.
Now this is where the text gets incredibly clever. The author deliberately juxtaposes two completely different vocabularies just to create friction. On one hand, we've got the mechanical side. Gadgets, titanium, silver, devices, programming. It's hard, cold, calculated language, exactly what you'd expect in a hard sci-fi novel. But immediately, it's contrasted with profound emotional vulnerability. Tears in her eyes, a smile on her face, a kiss. The author doesn't separate the machine from the emotion. They present them simultaneously. The alien is a master of technology, calibrating voices and holding devices, and yet, she's openly weeping. It perfectly highlights a wonderful sci-fi trope that no matter how advanced our tech becomes, our messy, emotional reality is always right there along for the ride.
So these contrasting elements blend together to create something deeply intimate. The day was auspicious, the stars were bright, her ornaments were white, titanium, and silver. She's staying with me tonight. The cold metals, the titanium and silver, they aren't just spaceship parts anymore. They're beautiful ornaments set against the backdrop of bright stars. The grand cosmic scale and the tiny mechanical details converge in an incredibly tender realization. Yes, a cosmic gas giant is effectively having a sleepover. It's a wonderfully absurd and touching image. After billions of years of solitary observation, the eternal observer finally has a companion for the night.
Part 4. Programming Empathy, the climax of transformation.
Let's break down how this connection actually builds step by step. The author gives us a very specific progression of intimacy here. Step 1 is pure observation, looking at her eyes. Step 2 makes it physical. Jupiter gave her a kiss. But steps 3 and 4, that's where the sci-fi element truly shines. Because of this connection, the alien makes the ancient planet wise, and then literally programmed me with her language and gifted me a lot of devices. This physical exchange triggers a literal intellectual and emotional download. I mean, think about the magnitude of that for a second. The alien isn't just teaching the planet, she is literally installing a brand new operating system into a celestial body.
And what exactly is that shiny new software? It's empathy and compassion. The text defines these as sweet sensations. But remember our hook from earlier? Emphasize the irony here. A massive celestial body, capable of radiating intense light and commanding immense gravitational forces, is completely overwhelmed by something humans do every single day. Empathy is a totally alien technology to Jupiter. The planet admits it's complicated and I don't understand. The cosmic entity is literally short-circuiting. The alien has used her devices and her language to playfully teach Jupiter the absolute most complex algorithm in the entire universe: how to actually feel for another being. Finally, Part 5, an eternal chorus, the aftermath of connection.
The text wraps up with the exact visual and textual repetition of Jupiter's original mantra. On the surface, you think, okay, nothing has changed. The planet is just back to its baseline. Actually, scratch that. Because of the journey we've just taken, we know that everything is fundamentally shifted. When Jupiter said, "My love is eternity," the first time, it meant isolation. It meant a static, unchanging existence. But now, repeated 3 times at the end of the text, it echoes with a profound new resonance. It's a chorus now. That eternity contains the memory of the titanium ornaments, the tears, the kiss, and the complicated, sweet sensation of empathy. The code has been rewritten, and this beautiful, complex new loop is going to play forever.
We've just seen how a cosmic giant learned to process the highly complex algorithms of emotion through a sudden, beautiful connection. So I want to leave you with a thought to take away today. If empathy is indeed a language, a set of sweet, complicated sensations that we essentially have to be programmed to understand, who is writing your code? Are you letting the right connections install your upgrades? Think about that for a bit. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the universe.